Spectacular news. Flamengo gets an unexpected reinforcement for the game against São Paulo, a game that's worth the lead, guys. If Flamengo beats São Paulo, all the pressure is on Palmeiras. Palmeiras also has a very tough game. Flamengo desperately needs the win. Flamengo needs to beat São Paulo. Flamengo plays at 7:30 post-meridian. What do you think? Palmeiras only plays on Thursday against Santos. It's a derby. Oh, but it's Italians. But Palmeiras faces Santos twice in the next rounds. And then Palmeiras plays Santos the next day, 24 hours later at the Lions. It's a very important match for Santos. Let's look at the standings here, and I'll show you. Look, Santos is the first team outside the relegation zone. The rival will want in any way to relegate Santos. But we know that Santos will do everything to make things difficult for Palmeiras too, so they don't become champions, right? So guys, it's that kind of game where anything can happen, right? Classic Palmeiras and Santos match. It's there, right? There's also the rivalry factor besides being a classic because Palmeiras won the Libertadores over Santos. So there's always going to be that rivalry, right? And there's also the relegation issue. Santos is fighting not to go down again, so it's a really important game. Remember that Santos currently has 33 points, Inter has 36, and Bragantino has 36. And the fight down there is tough, right? Because the first team in the relegation zone is Vitória, with 31, 2 points less than Santos. In other words, this round could put Santos in the relegation zone. So it's very important for Santos to beat Palmeiras. It's a fight. It's a decision, guys. It's a decision. Palmeiras has a decision to make, and so does Santos. They're saying São Paulo sees it as a big match too, since Lucas Moura said they want to qualify for the Libertadores. But it's not the same intensity or madness. São Paulo clearly wants a Libertadores spot. They're going to do everything to make things hard for Flamengo and end up helping Palmeiras, which is also their big rival. São Paulo needs to secure a Libertadores spot for important 2026 financial reasons. And Santos is just about staying in Serie A. If they lose, they risk relegation. They must win both games against Palmeiras. And that could end up helping Flamengo. Flamengo, who plays earlier on Wednesday at 7:30 post-meridian, could put the pressure on Palmeiras. We show up just like that. Hey guys, red-black greetings. This is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. If you just arrived, please follow, like, and share on all platforms. On YouTube, subscribe below. Turn on the bell notification, leave that awesome like on the video, and check out our sponsors in the pinned comment. And we always remind you, right? It's very important to play responsibly. For those over 18, it's for fun, not an investment. There you go, right? And we always remind you that all the sponsors are listed in the pinned comment and in the description. Well, let's go. There's important information to share here. Flamengo has released the list of players. Flamengo is about to board soon and will be arriving in São Paulo as well. Flamengo arrives in São Paulo and will take a bus to the Santos area where Flamengo will play at Vila Belmiro. Flamengo isn't playing at Morumbi's because there will be concerts at Morumbi's. So Flamengo's schedule is exactly that, right? Going there to Santos. We know it's important. Look, I just brought Flamengo's schedule here because Flamengo has already trained, already did everything they had to do. Today they're already boarding, and we have good news to share right now. Look, training was at 9:30 ante meridiem at Jorge Elau Training Center, Ninho do Urubu. Flight from Santos Dumont to Guarulhos is at 2:55 post meridiem, okay. And then Flamengo moves to Santos, right? They're playing at Vila Belmiro at 9:30 post meridiem. I said 7:30 post-meridian here in the United States, okay? But it's 9:30 post-meridian, just correcting that for you. Sometimes I get a little confused, so it's 2 hours earlier here, 7:30 post-meridian in the United States. But the Flamengo game is at 9:30 post-meridian on Palmeiras on Thursday, also at 9:30 post-meridian. So for those following, when I said 7:30 post-meridian, it's actually 9:30 post-meridian, all right? So we're bringing you this information. Flamengo, 9:30 post-meridian, São Paulo and Flamengo. Let's go. Flamengo released the squad list, and it's important for us to bring this up now because we have Carrascal confirmed. Carrascal made the list. It's great news. It's a very important reinforcement. Jorge Carrascal. Flamengo's squad list for the match at Vila Belmiro this Wednesday at 9:30 post-Meridiem. Alexandre Ayrton, Lucas Carrascal, Clayton, Danilo de Arrascaeta, Nicolas de la Cruz, Douglas, Diogo Alves, Emerson Royal, Eric Pulgar, Everton Cebolinha, Guilhermo Varela, João Vitor Juninho, Luiz Araújo, Léo Pereira, Matheus Cunha, Micael, Gonzalo Plata, Agostinho Rossi, Samuel Lino, Saul Nigues, Matias Vinha, Euala Cian. So Flamengo is using most of its main players, getting some others back, but they're going in at full strength. That's what Flamengo has with De Arrascaeta, Nicolas de la Cruz, and its main players like Luis Araujo. Only Pedro, who's still returning to the field tomorrow to train, will recover with the immobilization, but he'll already start working on the field. So Pedro and also Cebolinha, as we know, I'm talking about the players who score the most goals, right? Here, Arrascaeta, Luis Araujo, and Pedro are involved. Only Pedro remains out. And the rest, Flamengo is getting them back. Jorginho and Everton Cebolinha will also be available soon. But what fantastic news, right? Jorge Carrascal, who had a rib problem, is already back on the roster. That's really good. We thought he was going to be out for at least 10 days, and he won't even be out for 5 days, right? Very little time, very little time. The guy recovers really well. He's a player with an incredible recovery. That's very important. Category 1, $320, 1,720 reais. Is that a bit pricey? Category 2, $200, 1,075 reais. Category 3, $95, 520 reais, okay? Those are the prices. Each finalist club will handle and define its own sales scheme for the exclusive sections designated for its fans. They're usually behind the goal, right? But ticket sales for the final of the South American Football Confederation Copa Libertadores have already started. So we know that Flamengo fans will want, the fans who are club members will want to wait to stay behind the goal, right? Yeah? So look, Racing, right? They were punished, okay? Closed doors because of the celebration during the match against Flamengo, okay? Racing was punished because of that celebration, the fireworks and everything. So, because of the use of pyrotechnic items, fireworks, and flares, the Argentine club was punished by the Agency for the Prevention of Violence in Sports Provid, which is part of the Buenos Aires government. So Racing will play 3 games behind closed doors. In addition, in the first 3 matches after the fans' return, items like trumpets, drums, flags, and other objects will not be allowed. In other words, in the next Libertadores, Racing, or was it the Sudamericana? I can't remember Racing's situation right now, but in any case, they have 3 games to serve as punishment. They said they weren't worried, remember? Oh, we're not worried about the punishment. The important thing is to reach the final. They didn't make it to the final, and now they'll have to serve the punishment. Look, the time is almost here, man. Everything I click on here is baby stuff. The time for my son to be born is coming. I'm really motivated to have my son close to me. Look, I'm going to share some important news here, okay? The Superior Court of Sports Justice has scheduled the trial of forward Bruno Henrique for next Monday. The player is cleared to play against Santos on Sunday due to the suspensive effect obtained by his defense. So Bruno Henrique is guaranteed to play against Santos, right? He still plays against Santos. We know that, unfortunately, if the case is punished, he is not listed. He is suspended for the match against São Paulo. Bruno Henrique is suspended, but we know he'll play against Santos. On Monday, it will be judged if they withdraw the appeal and everything else. But if Bruno Henrique loses the case, he'll remain punished. And then this punishment is sent to South American Football Confederation, and Bruno Henrique could be left out of the Libertadores final. Flamengo, which is trying to get Pedro back, has already lost Gonzalo Plata, right, who is suspended, got a red card. Flamengo could still lose Bruno Henrique. Flamengo could be without 3 forwards in the Libertadores final. Obviously, Pedro will be recovered, but there's a chance Flamengo could be without 3 of the top forwards in South America in the final against Palmeiras. It's sad, isn't it? And they keep putting all this pressure for Bruno Henrique to be punished, talking too much and everything. Now, when they punish him and Bruno Henrique misses the final, they'll think it's great. That's what they want, right? This pressure they put on, that's what they really want. It's to mess with Flamengo, but we'll be fine. Against everything and everyone, they can do whatever they want. Nobody owes me anything. Flamengo is going after this title, even with a possible punishment for Bruno Henrique being confirmed. We know it's very unlikely that the appeal will be upheld, that they will accept Flamengo's appeal. We know it's hard. Flamengo just wanted to buy time. And unfortunately on Monday, let's hope for the best, right? But honestly, I believe that the court can decide on Bruno Henrique's punishment. And then Flamengo wouldn't be able to use the player in the Copa Libertadores. For that to happen, the Brazilian Football Confederation must send an official letter to South American Football Confederation, which must then accept it. It can have air button, wait, opposition, a moment of being imposing for a day, depression. But what can you do, right? Maybe if Bruno Henrique had already served his suspension without appealing. Let's see what will happen on Monday. There's no use crying over spilled milk. But we know that, unfortunately, right? Flamengo faces opposition from all sides, yet some claim Flamengo is favored. Well, let's go. I'm also bringing you some important information. It's Flamengo. We already have a probable lineup based on the players who have been called up. Okay, Flamengo should come, right? Against São Paulo with, looking at the called-up players here, with Agustin Rossi, Guilherme Varela, or Emerson Royal. I think he'll go with Varela. This time we had Flamengo there. Let's check the called-up players from... Again, Leo Ortiz isn't on the list. He's still recovering, right? Danilo is on the list, so it's Danilo and Leo Pereira. Right? Yeah. Is Alexandro on the list? He might come with Alexandro or Ayrton Lucas. I think he'll come with Alexandro because later he'll be called up. Yeah. And then in the midfield, we have Eric Polga. I think he'll go with Eric Polga and De La Cruz, who did really well in the last game. Arrascaeta, Luis Araújo, Samuel Lino, and Gonzalo Plata. That's probably Flamengo's starting lineup for me. Okay, so once again, Rossi, Varela, Danilo, Leo Pereira, and Alexandro, Eric Pulgar, De La Cruz, Arrascaeta, Luis Araujo, Samuel Lino, and Gonzalo Plata. Okay, so is this Paparazzo's probable lineup? Look, we have Palmeiras, Flamengo, and Cruzeiro, right? Fighting for the Brazilian title. And Universidade Federal de Minas Gerais brought the new percentage chance for each team. It's second, then it's Universidade Federal de Minas Gerais, still not counting this round. Now that I told you, right? Santos could take the lead from Palmeiras, right? Is Santos desperate? I wouldn't count all that. No. After Palmeiras' 2-0 win over Juventude, their chance of being champion rose from 54.2 to 56.4. Flamengo, even though they won 3-0. The percentage for the sport in Rio de Janeiro dropped from 41.4 to 41%. So, Palmeiras 56.4, Flamengo 41%, still Flamengo. And Cruzeiro as well, even though they won 3-0. Vitória dropped from 2.9% to 2. 3%. Honestly, I'm going to tell you guys, Mirassol 0.21%, Bahia 0.003%. I'm going to tell you guys here, I think this whole thing is a huge joke. Because if we stop to think about this round now, if Flamengo beats São Paulo and Palmeiras loses or draws with Santos, my friends, everything changes completely. then what are they going to say? That Flamengo has a 60% chance? Let's see if they're going to do that. Because what I notice is that when Flamengo gets ahead, Palmeiras doesn't stay close to them. Palmeiras just needs to win. Even if Flamengo and Cruzeiro win, Palmeiras stays ahead. They're always in contention with a real chance. But I like it this way, guys. That's how it is, okay? I like seeing them like this. Denelson says he's sure Palmeiras will win the title. That's it, guys. Please follow, like, share, and subscribe on all platforms, including YouTube. Enable notifications, tap the bell, and like the video.